decency here while animals starve. How old is there's a bear cub, right? How old is the bear?
He's about a year old.
Now, you know, Johnny and I would sometimes try to figure out why was such a thing so funny. All the bear was doing was flipping upside down, you know, with his feet up, holding the bottle. But that was one of those times I heard the audience giving a belly laugh.
All right.
And the young ones are...
Jim, when we run out.
But those are things that are totally unpredictable that you really can't say are going to happen. This one particular time, I had a bat. I had a bat with a 3-foot wingspread, right? It was a fruit bat. And after doing the show, it was hanging on my arm like this. I had to hold its feet because I didn't want it to fly. And it was around Halloween time, so it was perfect to have. But there was a ficus tree plant in a pot behind his desk. And that bat kept looking at the ficus tree, and I was pretty darn sure that it was going to fly to it. So I said to myself as I was leaving, I stood up and I said to myself, hey, you know, if the bat flies, I'm going to let it go because it'd be a great scene. Well, of all things, as I was leaving, the bat, instead of flying to the ficus tree, it flew right at Johnny and landed on his microphone, because bats have a habit in the wild of landing on the trunk of a tree and then climbing up and taking off again.
Find the fruit where there's sight and also sense of smell.
Is that a prop or is that real?
Now that's real. That's one of the largest.
Well, that's a toy,
in
isn't
the
it?
world. That's a Goliath beetle. Listen, let me.
Isn't that a wind-up?
No, but it's very gentle, very safe. Put your arm out because it'll show up well against you. No, I'm not trying to just force it on you because
of course you're not.
It is really gentle and safe.
Well, I can tell you a little bit about that. That was called a Goliath beetle. Now, once again, I knew that beetle was going to be pretty spectacular because I didn't take insects out very often. But once again, he had on a special kind of a coat that had wool fiber, and it was sort of a woven coat. So when I put that on his arm down here, it started walking up, and I went over to try to get a stick because I knew that if I tried to pull it off Johnny's arm, I might pull the legs off the beetle because they have hooks on their legs.
But what I'm saying is that I think you'll realize when it's there a little bit more about it in relation to your arm, the size. This is called the Goliath beetle, and it is one of the Cincinnati Zoo has one of the few insect collections on display of any zoo in the world. And Ed Maruska has specialized in this. He's the director there, but this is from Africa. This is one of the largest beetles in the world, and they only live 3 months. They go in the larval stage, and
can you imagine waking up at night and seeing this in your bedroom?
That wow.
What do they subsist on?
Well, this feeds on almost anything. They apparently have a very wide diet, but they breed in these hollow, rotten logs, and the male is very aggressive during the mating season. He bulldozes the other male.
I don't
See this hinge point right here?
Yeah.
Don't put your finger there because they'll snap shut on your finger at that point. It's quite a pinching animal.
I see. Now, is that... they trap their prey in there, or what? Or just
no, that's when
defense?
they're fighting. When they're fighting, if one gets up here on his back, another male, he'll lock on it and roll over. And
that's incredible. That is really
incredible. If you'll put him back on here, this is his.
How do I pick him up?
He eats bananas, huh? They like that.
Do I pick him right here?
Yeah, just pick him up there and put him right back. That's all you have to do. He can't get back. In fact, he doesn't have any mandible for eating, for biting. Oh, that's right. Wait a minute. Take your steak with me. That's all right. Wait a minute. I thought he was going to the stick. That's right. I thought he'd go under the stick.
Well, you thought he'd go on the stick. Sure, Jim. Now I know why Marlin stays in the tent.
Anyway, as I began to put it up, this beetle took off like a helicopter and went out toward the audience. The whole first 6 rows disappeared. And Johnny then, if you remember, he said, why didn't you tell me it could fly? That thing could have gone from there to here. And I said, without thinking, I said, well, I didn't know it could fly, and that's true.
All right. By the way, this can move quite rapidly.
I noticed that.
See.
Does he know the banana's there? Of course, they normally don't fly down, I suppose, in nature, tied with string on a branch, do they? That's a very crazy tree, you know.
I don't think you do, but this...
What's he doing? You didn't tell me he could fly.
I didn't know he could fly.
Well, what the hell else don't you know about him? If you don't know you fly, you don't know he could be poisonous, right? This is going to turn out to be the flying poisonous insect and has nothing to do with being a Goliath beetle.
I do know about this one.
Well, I hope you know more about this, Jim, than you do about that.
I think it's really...
Man, one of the great nature experts. I didn't know he could fly. You know, he could have flown from here to here in a moment. That's just a day stop from there to there. The hell is that ugly-looking thing?
The reason that beetle went over so well, I think, was Johnny was honestly reacting to it the way a normal person would react. I would like to add to the tribute to Johnny Carson. You know, I started out in television quite a while ago when it was black and white. And of all the people that I have known, as you were saying, on television, Johnny Carson is one that's probably influenced my life and has influenced more people. I still get a lot of people today who come up to me and say they saw that show and enjoyed it. So I'd just like to tip my truck and I have a bottle of water here to Johnny. So I'd just like to salute Johnny Carson wherever he is. I'm sure he's telling some good stories.